So we heard a lot of that singing, the ululating a little earlier on in the streets. A slight hush fell upon that crowd as the hearse entered the area. Mama Winnie's hearse now actually reversing into that area directly outside her home. Kathy, what can you see from where you're standing?
Yes, Joanne, I'm watching that picture with you, just where I'm literally a stone throw away from members of the family. The only thing separating us is this barricade that has been put up. I'm also seeing actor Idris Elba. He's standing by, he's here with the family, and many of them standing outside the house now, and they're waiting to receive her body. You can imagine, Joe, this is such an emotional moment, and many of them are really taking it in. They're reflecting. There's just a cloud of somberness. If it wasn't there before, it's certainly much more palpable than it has been earlier on in the day, especially because it's the first time that we've seen such a big contingent of the family then take that step outside. Of course, they are still very close to the gate. Down the road from the family, we have members of the MK Veterans Association. They're standing by, raising flags, and they're waiting, of course, to receive her body. On the other side, this is now to my left, and that's the picture that you have in view. We have some of the members that are trying to clear the way so that Mama can finally be led to her final journey. Angelo, this is her final journey home. This is the last time that her family members, as they're standing here watching, it's the first time that they will see her come home to Parliament as they've known it. It's the first time they'll come home. She'll come home to Big Mama's house as they've come to know it.
And at the end of the street, it is an elbow that we're looking at, and where the Mandela House is in the corner of that elbow. And coming up from the bottom of the street will be the funeral cortege with Winnie Madikizela-Mandela in it. And along that street we have the soldiers, we have police people, we have ordinary South Africans, and of course the beginning of EFF flags, ANC flags, people carrying portraits of Winnie Madikizela-Mandela. And at the top of that street, in the corner of the elbow, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, the Dean of the Anglican Church of St. Mary's in Johannesburg, who is very close to the Tutu family who live around the corner from here. And so this is, I think, a moment in which Soweto meets the world and the world meets Soweto.
Angela, I'm also, just getting an opportunity to look at some of the faces of the grandchildren, some of which we saw during the week, and they look absolutely grief-stricken. To have to be in this moment and have to stand essentially before South Africa and have that level of privacy at your most vulnerable stage, be exposed to the public in the way that it is, cannot be easy.
It is not easy, and yet it is a task that we expect of so many people in this country, that their grief is up for public display or even consumption, and here they are choosing a certain kind of dignity, a certain kind of quietude amid the tumult. And the many people who are gathered here, I think, are here to support those people, and in their song and in their praising and in their chants, they are keen to buoy the spirits of those people who are now also, like them, mourners of a woman they knew in texture, in substance, in being, on an everyday basis. There'll be those immediate blood relations who are the children, grandchildren and great-grandchildren, but there will be those who see Winnie Madikizela-Mandela as mother in a political sense, in an ideological sense. And those are the people who are also gathered here alongside ordinary neighbors, young children who probably did not know Winnie Madikizela-Mandela in the 1980s or 1990s incarnation, but knew her as the woman who lived in the corner house. They're here too to observe this moment in which the world here comes to a standstill, to observe one woman's last journey into her house, and then from that house tomorrow into the public funeral, from where there will be a return to the private burial ceremony at the cemetery.
Angela, a little bit earlier on in the day, what we saw was a bus carrying officials leave to go and fetch this body. I believe that some of those that we're seeing in suits, Joanne, that are surrounding that vehicle, may be some of those very officials that left this house a little bit earlier on. Among them, you know, leaders of various movements of the South African political parties, prominent individuals that were really part of the inner circle, if we can say, of the family. In this crowd, Joe, that I'm watching, that's outside the gate, just almost in the heart of them, about 2 rows behind, I'm spotting Winnie Madikizela-Mandela's daughter, Zinzi and Zenani, and they're standing here to receive their mother's remains. Joanne, I think this might be a good moment to perhaps stop with the talking as we see her remains making their way to the gate.